Those are sad numbers, folks. That's not a positive thing. And it shows that we haven't inculcated certain values, certain principles that we hold as Americans into our youth here, and it's only getting worse. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story of the day is quite a unique one. We have a survey that was conducted on Americans to find out what they were willing to give up to never have to go back into the office again. This is a fun one, folks. It comes from Bloomberg, and they title it, "Americans Are Willing to Take Pay Cuts to Never Go into the Office Again." Now, to be honest, that's not a very dramatic title there to the article, but when we get into the nitty-gritty of this article, there's going to be certain scenarios here where I think you might fall over in your chair on what Americans are willing to give up here. It's kind of crazy. Now, before I get into the article, I want to know what you're willing to sacrifice to never have to go back into the office again. Let me know down below. I am looking really forward to your responses here on what you're willing to give up. Now, it starts off here saying a new survey shows that many Americans say they'd be willing to take reduced salaries, give up days off, or put in more hours for a job that offers a fully remote option. After more than a year of full or partial remote work in many white-collar industries, employers are trying to get workers back to the office, even as the Delta coronavirus variant takes hold across the U.S. To entice workers back, some companies are holding back-to-work parties and dishing out prizes, providing free lunch or childcare, or even offering yoga classes. Well, some workers aren't too fond of the prospect, whether they are concerned about their health, domestic responsibilities that keep them home, or simply don't want to return to an unwelcome commute. An online survey commissioned by Breeze, which is an insurance company, found that 65% of American workers who said that their jobs could be done entirely at home were willing to take a 5% pay cut. That could be a rational financial trade-off depending on the cost of commuting. And a study last year estimated that people were saving hundreds of dollars a month on commuting expenses by working from home. So I have a graph here that shows you the studies between a yes or no answer here. And so 65% of respondents said that they would take a 5% pay cut. 35% said they wouldn't. And it takes you through the different generations here on who would take a pay cut versus who wouldn't here take a pay cut. And you see it's kind of all across the board, pretty much the same here. You have about, a 7% a difference here on who wouldn't and who would. And of course, the older you get, right, the baby boomers, the Generation X, you kind of expect to see that go up because you want to spend more time at home. You're tired, you've been working your entire life. Where Generation Z down there at the bottom, the youngest, would potentially rather go back into the office rather than take a pay cut here. Well, the online survey conducted by the polling firm Pollfish on July 20th and 21st included responses from 1,000 people who said they were employed or looking for work at a job that can be completely, entirely remotely. Most people said they wouldn't give up more than 5%, but check this out. 15% of respondents said they'd be willing to shave off 25% of their salary to be remote. Nearly half, 46%, said they would give up an entire quarter of their days off, and 15% said they would give up all paid time off to be able to work from home. Those are crazy numbers. I mean, 15% of respondents said they'd be willing to shave off a quarter of their salary to work from home. That's a lot of money. I guess depending on the job, that's potentially a lot of money. Nearly 46% said they were willing to give up a quarter of their days off. This is some big numbers here, folks. Now, there's another graph here that says a cut too deep. People overwhelmingly wouldn't take a 25% pay cut to work from home. Neither would I. But again, there's a good portion of Generation X here, 21%, that would be willing to take a 25% pay cut just to work from home here. Also, on a lighter note, the firm also asked what else people would give up for option to work remotely. Now, this is where it gets interesting. More than half said they would give up Netflix, which isn't that big of a deal, social media, or Amazon for a year. Now, I don't know if people are really going to give up Amazon here for a year. That seems a little bit, I don't know. Some people have it really good with Amazon. I just don't see them giving it up. Maybe they will. A third of respondents even said they give up this. Check this out, folks. A third of respondents said they would give up the right to vote in all future national and local elections. That is mind-blowing, to give up the right to vote for a pay cut or for you to work remotely. I mean, it shows the value or the decline in value that Americans have in the power of voting. That is sad. That is extremely sad. Well, it comes to no surprise that Gen Z, the youngest, right? Gen Z was most likely 44% to say that they would give up their right to vote, while baby boomers were most opposed, excuse me, with only 27% saying they would give it up. And it shows the drastic change here from 27 to 44% on Americans willing to give up their vote. Those are sad numbers, folks. That's not a positive thing. And it shows that we haven't inculcated certain values, certain principles that we hold as Americans into our youth here. And it's only getting worse. And this is partially attributed to removing civics in the school system. Nowadays, I believe most schools are only recommending one civics or government class. Now, before it used to be 3. You'd have to take 3 classes in civics or government to kind of carry you through high school into college. But again, now it's 1 or none. Some schools have completely removed it. And you're seeing the dramatic consequences here of not inculcating those ideas into our youth. And you also see us moving into a more socialized type of style of government amongst our youth that want socialism, that want aspects of communism, Marxism within our institutions here. It's because of that lack, again, of inculcating certain principles and values that we carry in this country, because our education system has pulled back on civics, has pulled back on government. So that was the one that I thought you'd fall over in your chair on. Some of you might not think it's that big of a deal here. I'm stuttering because it is a massive deal. You're giving up your right to vote. People would die just to have a right to vote. People would give up the ultimate sacrifice and already have to make sure that we have that freedom of elections, to make sure that your vote matters, to make sure your vote counts here. And I also think it goes a little bit further in this stating why these audits are so important. I personally don't think the election would swing if we found some fraud or miscalculations within our polls here. I don't think it's that dramatic, but I think it's important to conduct these forensic audits to see where we can make improvements on when it comes to terms of going into the voting booth, or how we register to vote, or maybe inquiring voter ID laws, which I'm a supporter of. I'm not required to show my ID, but I still show my ID when I go into the voting booth, because I want to make sure that they, 1, know it's me, and 2, nobody else can take my vote from me by saying they are me when in actuality they're not. So I think these forensic audits are important. I don't think it's going to swing the election, but if we can improve our election integrity, I think that's great for all Americans across the board. But there you have it, folks. So Americans are willing to give up Netflix, social media, Amazon. I'm not sure if I really believe that, because they're watching this stuff while they're at home, and maybe some of them are watching this stuff while they're even working from home. But Americans are willing to give up some crazy stuff, and the most important one, the right to vote there. I thought this would be a fun one to show you guys today. I'm not sure if I'll be back on later today or not. If something pops up in the news that I really want to cover here, I'll go ahead and make another video for you. But please make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment down below on what you're willing to sacrifice to never have to go back in the office again. Make sure you share this all over your social media. I did start an Instagram account. I'll link it down below. And with that being said, folks, I will see you later here on The Bald Brad Show.